Comes back the second pair of witnesses, and they say the same thing that they said about pair number one, that they said that pair number one was with them. They're now saying about pair number three was with them. And the Mishnah continues in this situation, even if many pairs of witnesses subsequently come, they all say what the first pair of witnesses say. Reuven killed Shimon on Sunday. But if that second pair of witnesses keep on saying, you guys were with us, pair number one was with us, pair number three, pair number four, pair number five, we believe the second pair of witnesses. And that's what the Torah gave such power to the second pair of witnesses, when the second pair of witnesses is testifying about the character of the witnesses. When we explained, they're not testifying, contradicting, discussing the details of the case. They're only talking about the character of the witnesses. They're saying, those witnesses, you guys cannot come to court to testify about what happened on Sunday because you guys were with us on Sunday somewhere else. The Torah believes that second pair of witnesses that states that the first pair of witnesses are framers. The same way the Torah believes the second pair of witnesses about the first pair of witnesses are framers, the Torah will subsequently believe the second pair of witnesses about any subsequent pair of witnesses that will come and state that they were witness to this crime. If the second pair of witnesses again come and say about the third, fourth pair of witnesses, these guys were with us, the same way the Torah says you believe the second pair of witnesses regarding the first pair of witnesses, you will believe the second pair of witnesses regarding pair number 3, 4, 5 subsequent pairs. Right. All you guys are with us. All you guys come to court, you guys were with us. That is the opinion of the Chachamim. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Because it says you cannot believe the second pair of witnesses when they're talking about pair number 3, pair number 4, pair number 5. If they state that all the witnesses that subsequently come were also with them. And we're going to see how the Gemara is going to explain that Rabbi Yehuda holds the Torah believes the second pair of witnesses. Good morning, Mr. Anthony. Good to see you. Welcome back. The Torah believes the second pair of witnesses when it's the second pair of witnesses against the first pair of witnesses. But again, it's only the second pair of witnesses are not contradicting the first pair of witnesses. The second pair of witnesses are just saying that you guys were with us. But if there's a reason to suspect that this second pair of witnesses are out in some sort of conspiracy to protect the suspect, because the fact that they say about every subsequent pair of witnesses that they were with us, we're not going to believe them and kill somebody based on this testimony of the second pair of witnesses if there's reason to doubt their validity. That is what the Gemara says. So we are on the bottom of Heyam and Aleph. Rav Yehuda Omer Ishtatis Hizu. Now we're turning the page. So now the Gemara is going to explain. It's going to try to. And what did Rav Yehuda say? If you look back in the language of the Mishnah, Rav Yehuda said, "Eina nehereget." The only ones that get killed, Ella kat rishona bilvad. Right? The language of Yehuda. Good morning, Dr. Navid. Rav Yehuda said, the last line of the Mishnah, Heyam and Aleph. Rav Yehuda is statet hizu ve'eina neherag ella kat rishona bilvad. This pair of witnesses are Heyam base, the top of the page of Heyam base, 5b. 5b1, exactly. The Gemara is now focusing on Rabbi Yehuda's statement. We followed Mr. Adri's advice during Chalamoid. We did not go further in the Gemara. We did other things. So the Gemara, if you all recall, we had last week the Mishnah. Everyone was here for the Mishnah, where we have a pair of witnesses come to court. The first pair of witnesses say that Reuven killed Shimon, let's say on Sunday. And comes the second pair of witnesses and say, you guys are with us. Comes the third pair of witnesses say the same thing that the first pair says, Reuven killed Shimon on Sunday. The second pair of witnesses who made the first pair of framers come back to court and say about the third pair of witnesses, you guys were also with us on that day. Comes the fourth pair of witnesses and says, Reuven killed Shimon on Sunday. The second pair of witnesses come back to court and say, no, these guys were also with us on that day. The Chacham say, the Torah believes that second pair of witnesses to say about these guys that you were with us, as many pairs of witnesses that come on the case, they could discredit, the second pair of witnesses have the ability to discredit all the subsequent pairs of witnesses that come. The Chacham, the Rabbi Yehuda says, no, we can't, there's something fishy here. Everybody that comes to court, God bless you, is the second pair of witnesses could say, but everyone comes to court, you guys are with us. Another pair of witnesses comes to court, you guys are with us. It seems like they want to protect the suspect. So how do you protect the suspect? If you go ahead,
The other witnesses concur.
everyone concurs.
Third, fourth, fifth says, yes, we were.
No. The second pair of witnesses say, no, we weren't with you. We saw the murder. Just like the first pair of witnesses. First witness won't come to court and say we saw a murder. The second pair of witnesses come after them and say, you guys, you say you saw a murder, you were with us. The first pair of witnesses say we weren't with you. But the Torah says we believe the second pair of witnesses. When the second pair of witnesses come and say, not about the details of the case, just talking about the character of just like the second pair of witnesses, we believe to say, you guys are Rishaim, you guys are people that are not trustworthy people because you're wicked people and you can't accept wicked people as witnesses. The second pair of witnesses, I believe to say, you guys are with us on that day. The second pair of witnesses, I believe to say, you guys are framers, you guys are with us. Not only the second pair of witnesses believe regarding the first pair of witnesses, as many pairs of witnesses that come to testify about the case, if that same second pair of witnesses comes back to court and say about those subsequent queers, you were with us on that day, we believe them, we believe the second pair of witnesses again. And we're not going to kill the suspect. And not only we're not going to kill the suspect, we're actually going to kill these witnesses. So the Tanakama says we'll kill every pair. The Tanakama says, the Yehuda says we only kill the first pair. Tanakama says no. We believe the second pair of witnesses regarding the first pair. We believe them regarding the third pair, fourth pair, fifth pair. Every pair of witnesses that they say was with them, we're going to believe them. We're going to believe that second pair of witnesses. No, the third pair did not say that the second pair was with them. The third pair just says Reuben killed Shimon.
The third pair said that they were there, they were witnesses of the murder.
Everyone is right. All the subsequent pairs of witnesses talk about the murder, except the second pair. The second, everyone.
So 3, 4, 5 concur with witness number 1.
Exactly. Did they all say Reuben killed Shimon on Sunday?
10 witnesses.
10 pairs.
Say
Right.
yes, or 8 witnesses that say yes.
But the second pair of witnesses say,
Second pair, just because they're the second pair.
because what makes them unique? Because they're talking about the character of the witnesses. They're not talking about the time and place. They're just saying, you witnesses, you guys are with us. No, I'm saying there's multiple ways. If you make someone a Rashat, that's not Zomamim. That discredits the witnesses. But the same way we understand, if 2 witnesses say Reuben killed Shimon, and then 2 witnesses say Reuben and Shimon are Rishaim, they can't testify. They're Rishaim. So now, Reuben and Shimon say, we're not Rishaim. They're not believed, because we're testifying about, you're not believed to say you're not Rishaim. If we have 2 witnesses to say that we saw you guys intentionally go ahead and do certain sins that make you a Rashat, you're not going to believe to say, no, I didn't do it. You believe the second pair of witnesses believe to say you're Rishaim. So too, the Torah gave this ability, if the second pair of witnesses say about the first pair of witnesses, that you guys were with us on that day. The day that you say you saw this act happen, you were with us. You weren't at the scene. That's all they're saying. The Torah says you believe the witnesses, the second pair, when they say about another pair of witnesses that they weren't at the scene. And then so subsequently, the Chacham hold, they'll be believed also the same way they believe to say that the first pair of witnesses weren't at the scene. They're believed to say about the third pair of witnesses, the fourth pair that you guys weren't at the scene. That is the opinion of the Chachamim. If Yehuda says something's fishy, Yehuda says to say that the second pair of witnesses had with them, that all these sets of witnesses were with them, and that day and that time sounds a little fishy. It looks like that the second pair of witnesses are trying to protect the suspect. So everyone says this guy killed, and anytime any witnesses come to court and say, Reuben killed Shimon, these second pair of witnesses come to court and say, you guys are with us. You guys are with us. Sounds like, and as a result of that, no one's going to kill Reuben. because the second pair of witnesses is making all the subsequent witnesses into zombies. Right. So you're giving that second pair tremendous power. We're believing them, and that you can't do, according to Rabbi Yehuda. So what does Rabbi Yehuda say in the Mishnah? The only pair of witnesses that get killed, Rabbi Yehuda says, is the first pair number 1. But you won't kill pair number 3, pair number 4, if pair number 2 says, you guys are also with us. You guys are also with us. We're not going to believe. We're not going to kill pair 3, pair 4, pair 5. The only pair that we will kill is pair what? Number 1. So the Gemara says, if you suspect that the second pair of witnesses are out to a conspiracy to protect the suspect, you shouldn't even kill pair number 1. How do you kill? You have pair number 1. Then came pair number 2. And they said, you guys are with us. They came pair number 3. You guys are with us. How does everybody say you only can kill pair number 1? You shouldn't kill anybody. All right, exactly. It's either you believe them, like the Chacham say, you kill them all, or if you suspect that they're in some sort of conspiracy, these witnesses, you shouldn't kill any. But that's what you can't. It's either they're trustworthy. There's no gray area. That's it. Mr. Safdie, is the Gemara's question clear? Now we'll read it inside. Look in the Gemara inside. Hey, I'm a base. Out. E is tatitizu. If we suspect this second pair of witnesses who are coming to testify about the character, about the first pair, if you suspect them that they're into some sort of conspiracy to protect the suspect, so even the first pair of witnesses, we should not kill based on the testimony of the second pair of witnesses. It's Mr. Anavit, you got the top of the page. If you think it's, you gotta understand, if you think these pair of witnesses is up to a conspiracy, afilu, even cat is the group. Rishonah, the first group, Nami also low. You should that's in a bit. I translated it good. Okay. Even the first pair of witnesses you should not kill. Is that clear? The Gemara's question. So the Gemara says you're right. The Gemara says, Omar Ravavo. Sometimes you have a question and the answer is, I agree with you. So, but how do you explain the language of the Mishnah? Omar Ravavo, Shekadmu. They went ahead, and they already killed him. Meaning to say, what happened? The court came, the court listened to the first pair of witnesses, and then Reuven killed Shimon. And then before the court killed Reuven, the second pair of witnesses come and say, you guys are with us. And then they listened to the second pair of witnesses, and the court actually, they killed the first pair of witnesses. They listened to the second pair that said that the first pair were framers, and they killed the first pair. Then comes the third pair of witnesses, and they come into court and say, Reuven killed Shimon on that day. At that point, we're not going to kill the third pair of witnesses, because we suspect now if these second pair of witnesses come back to court, they came to court 2 times already. The second time they come to court regarding the same incident, and they're claiming and they're saying that the second pair of witnesses, third pair, which is pair number 3, was also with them. We smell something. We smell something not so kosher, and we can't listen to them. And this is a power that the Torah gave to the court, that even if you can't put your finger on it, I mean, I can't show how you guys are lying. But if you suspect that you're lying, that's enough for the court to say we're not going to listen to the witness. Meaning here, the court did not discredit the second pair of witnesses. The second pair of witnesses, you guys are also with us. But they sense something. They sense there's something that's not kosher here. So therefore, you will not kill the third pair of witnesses or the fourth pair of witnesses based on the testimony of the second pair of witnesses. The second pair of witnesses say that you guys were also with us.
So
No, the Gemara is now explaining Rabbi Yehuda. Right? This is explaining Rabbi Yehuda. When Rabbi Yehuda says we only kill the first pair, doesn't mean that we have many pairs in front of us, pair number 1 and 3 and 4, and we're only going to choose to kill pair number 1. It's only if it's already done. But if we have pair number 1 and 3 and 4 in front of us, and we didn't kill anybody yet, and if we suspect that the second pair of witnesses are a conspiracy to protect the suspect, we're not going to kill anybody. No. Again, the Torah says you believe the second pair of witnesses when it makes sense. when it's black and white. Exactly. Well, when you smell something, the court smells some fish, some rotten fish here. We can't accept that. Now there are parameters, exactly when does the court have a right? How far does the court have a right to do this? And that's a separate issue, but that's what we're going to explain over here. So now the Gemara says, if that's the case, my dehave have it. Whatever happened already happened. So what's the necessity of the Mishnah to tell us this point? We only kill the first pair of witnesses, and you're telling me, you're telling me something that already happened. So what is the chidush? Why is the Mishnah stating something? If right, and usually we don't talk about something that just happened. We talk about, you tell us what you're telling us a novelty, a law about what's going to be, what should happen, and also you're telling me something. Let's see if the Rashi says. Look at the Rashi. Why do you have to tell me you only kill the first? The only one that gets killed is the first pair of witnesses. The point of a Mishnah is to teach us a law. It's not to tell us what happened, something that happened, something that already happened. What's the significance for us? What's the necessity? What are you teaching us by telling us, by the way, if it happened that already one pair got killed, so that's the only pair that gets killed. The point of the Mishnah is to tell us what the law is. The law is you only kill the first pair of witnesses. The law is you will not kill witnesses if you suspect that they're saying something fishy here. So why tell me about something that happened? What's the significance? You're not teaching me anything by telling me about something that happened. What was the history? What happened yesterday?
What happened? Come see it.
But I'm saying, but it's done. So
to learn from.
there's nothing to it. But you just tell me. By the way,
You can't add more. That's the point.
So he should have. Very good. So he should have. So very good. So he should have said. He should have said that. He should have just said we don't.
Someone was killed, then you can't kill more. True. But they're saying you kill the first, but you don't kill the first. They happen to kill the first without knowing about it. 3, 4, 5. We don't know that.
But that's the case. They killed the first when they didn't know about 3, 4, and 5.
They don't know 3, 4, 5. Right. So that's the issue.
So what?
3, 4, 5 comes in the future because you kill the first. You can't add more.
Right. So the question is, the next question is, why tell me about? You don't need to tell me about something that happened already. You just the whole point is that we hold that these pair of witnesses are they're in some sort of conspiracy to protect the suspect. So then you should just tell me you don't listen to that. You don't. So why tell me about something which happened in the past, which is not going to play a role in the law here? We'll see how the Gemara address, see if it's going to come back to you or not. Ela Amar Rav. So Rava says the following. This is how you have to read the Mishnah. Hachikam. What Rabbi Yehuda meant when he says, when he talks about what the first pair of witnesses getting killed, he means im eina ela katacha. Rabbi Yehuda is saying the following. He's not telling me that the only ones that get killed is the first pair that got killed and nobody else. He's not talking about after the fact. He's talking before the fact. He's saying the only pair of witnesses you kill is when there's one pair of witnesses that come to court, one pair of witnesses only, that's when you kill a pair of witnesses. If there's more than one pair of witnesses that come to court, and the second pair of witnesses say about this another pair that they were with us, you will not kill based on the testimony of the second pair of witnesses if there's more than one pair of witnesses come.
You won't kill anyone.
So you won't kill anyone. So now he's not talking about the second one's believed only if there is one pair of witnesses. Not believed, exactly. So he's not talking about the past. You already killed one pair of witnesses, but only they get killed, and the subsequent pairs do not get killed. He's not talking about something that already happened. was already, you don't have to tell me about something that already happened. That's what happened. But he's talking about the law. He's teaching us the law. Here comes Rabbi Yehuda. Yehuda says, if there's one pair of witnesses only, that's when you kill the first pair of witnesses. Basically, the second pair of witnesses. If there's more than one pair of witnesses, you will not kill anybody. So now he's not, now there's a chidush. There's a novelty in what he's telling us. He's not talking about because something already happened. He's telling you what the case is. If there's only one pair of witnesses, you kill only that pair of witnesses. If there's more than one pair of witnesses that come and the second pair say about more than one pair that they were with us, you will not kill anybody. That,
You're not believing about the case.
you're not believing about the case, right? So what does the Gemara say? Let's see it inside. Elam Arav, Hachi Kama.
Go back to the first guy, first pair of witnesses.
I'm going to second. We're not going to believe any. We're going to throw out the case, but we can't believe the
second
first.
still knocks out first.
The second knocks out first enough that we can't kill Ruvain, but we can't kill anybody. Can't kill any of the witnesses because we're suspecting the testimony of the second. Yeah, then maybe they're not exact. Maybe they're up to something. Good.
So the best way to knock out killing Reuben or the first set of witnesses is to have a full set of
The best way of knocking out
that nobody can kill.
Say it again.
In order for nobody to get killed.
In order for nobody to get killed, we need a third.
A third set that concurs with.
What's the difference? Because regardless, we're not going to believe the second one.
We're not going to believe the second one if the second pair of witnesses, again, but the second pair of witnesses, if the second pair of witnesses do not come and say about the third that they were also with us, you see, remember, every time the second pair of witnesses say that somebody was with us, they're also opening up themselves also. They could be two other witnesses come say, you guys are with us, on that day. So, but at the end of the day, that the Gemara, at this point, with Gemara,
His point is that the third pair of witnesses come to court and say, the first pair of witnesses were correct.
they're saying that, they're claiming the same thing as the first pair of witnesses.
Right, they concur with the first pair. Second pair never come back.
So then we're gonna kill Ruvain based on the testimony of the third pair of witnesses. If the
Not
third pair of
knowing
witnesses, if the third pair of witnesses that Reuven killed Shimon, and the second pair never came to say you guys are with us, we're gonna kill Ruvain.
And if they do come back, no.
And if the second pair of witnesses coming back and say the third pair was also with us, then nobody gets killed. We're not gonna kill the third pair. We're not gonna kill the first pair, because we suspect that the second pair is not exactly 100% in their testimony. But we can't kill Reuven either. Because at the end of the day, we have the second pair saying about the first pair and about the third pair that they were all with us. So therefore, in a certain sense, they are creating knocking out the testimony of the first pair and the third pair. But at the same time, since we're questioning their testimony of the second pair, we can't kill anybody. Right. That's what's happening at this point. So that's the thing much about. But if there's more, let's read it inside again. If there's only one group of witnesses, then we're going to kill the first pair of witnesses. If there's only one pair of witnesses that come to court, we kill that pair. But if there's more than one pair of witnesses that come to court, meaning if there's pair number 3, in addition to pair number 1, and pair number 2 say about pair number 1 and pair number 3 that they're with us, nobody, we don't kill pair number 1, we don't kill pair number 3. Mara's clear? So the Gemara has a technical question on this answer. The Gemara says, "Ha bilvad kama." The language of the Mishnah was bilvad. We only kill the first pair of witnesses. The language of only the first pair sounds like there's another pair here in the court, but the only ones we're killing. If I say the word bilvad, the only pair of witnesses we're killing is the first pair of witnesses only. What does it sound like? There's another pair of witnesses here as well, but I'm choosing to kill only one pair of witnesses. But the way you explained, you told me that the case of killing the witnesses is when there is no one else here coming to court. So the language, the word bilvat, this word only, the Gemara has an issue with the explanation that you just gave to explain Rabbi Yehuda. The language of the Mishnah that's used doesn't fit perfectly with this explanation. And therefore the Gemara has a question on this explanation. The Gemara concludes kasha. It's a question, but kasha is not a knockout. The Gemara has different terminologies to refer to something when you knock out someone's answer. Your answer is not a good answer. And sometimes the Gemara has a response that, you know what, I have a question on your answer, but maybe one day I'll come up with an answer to answer my question. It's not a knockout. So that's the Gemara usage here today. Kasha. The language of Bilvad is a little problematic, and then that's how the Gemara concludes this piece. Okay. So that's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Now the Gemara continues. There was a woman, the Asi Sadeh, that brought witnesses in a certain case. She brought witnesses to testify about something that pertained to her. Vishtakor. And the witnesses were found that their testimony was, the court, when witnesses come to court, the court cross-examines the witnesses. They talk to each witness separately. They ask each one's questions separately to see if the witnesses are on the same page. And it did not come, their testimony did not jive. And therefore, these pair of witnesses, the court says, we don't accept your, we spoke last time about, what are the things, what exactly would be things, Mr. Azzi was discussing, we were talking, asked questions about, there's certain things that it's normal not to remember certain things, maybe the color of the tie, maybe, I don't know. But there's certain things that are more obvious that you would, whether the guy was tall, perhaps, or short. We have to see what the Gemara says. What are the more common things, and when you call 911, they tell you, what's the color of the person? Is the color this color, that color? What type of nationality? There's certain things that are maybe more obvious. So the Gemara said, but these guys, they did not concur with each other's testimony, therefore they threw out these witnesses. Okay. Then, she went, this woman went, I see she brought Sahadi. Sahadi is the Aramaic word for witness. She brought witnesses, Achrini, another pair of witnesses. And what happened? I see Sadeh, Vishtaker. And they also became, they were found not to be in sync with each other. So she brought 2 times, she brought witnesses, 2 pairs of witnesses regarding a certain thing that she would testify. And both pair of witnesses, their testimony was thrown out from the court. The court found that we can't accept their testimony. Then this woman doesn't stop. Also, she went, I see, morning, Mr. Cohen, I see Sadeh Achrini. Then she brought a 3rd pair of witnesses, the lowest Ishtakar. The court, if you recognize the word sheker and the word ishtakar, they were not found to be false. The court cross-examined them, and they seem to be, they sound like they're saying the same thing. That witnesses are on the same page. Now the question is, will we accept this 3rd pair of witnesses that was brought by the woman, when the first pair that was brought by the woman were found not to be in sync, the 2nd pair that was not to be in sync, and the 3rd pair now seems to be saying they're on the same page? Do we smell a rat over here? In a certain sense, do we say, hey, what? She lost the credibility, but she's not the one doing the testimony. They're testifying. The fact that she loses the credibility, would that be enough to say that? And do we look at it? She lost the credibility. We'll see. She brought them.
So she's accused of something that she's bringing in.
Or she's being accused, or she wants money, or she wants something, or she wants something for her benefit, and she brings the witnesses. And here, Mr. Safdie, what's going on? He's not happy with the woman. And now the question is, do we accept this 3rd pair of witnesses? The Torah believes witnesses, and they themselves, we haven't heard them. We have no reason to suspect that they're lying, other than from cause of art. They themselves, they have no There's nothing that they did the only thing that makes them, that creates puts our antennas up, so to speak, is because she who brought them is not, has a little history of bringing people that are not honest. So that's the question. And I'm going to have two opinions in the Gemara, whether we'll accept these witnesses or not. And the Gemara will explain. Excellent. Yes. Excellent. That's going to be how some explain the Gemara. You're on target. Let's look at the Gemara. The Gemara says, Amar Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish says, Huzakazu. This woman has a chazaka to bring false witnesses, even though it was, everyone's familiar with 3 times the chazaka. Like 3 strikes, you're out, right? That's where it comes from. Right? That's where they got it. 3 strikes. That means it's a chazaka. If you strike out 3, if you're right, you have 3 strikes, that means you're out, you're finished. But there's an opinion also that says 2 times the chazaka. But something is repeated. There's a machloket, Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi machloket. When do we say chazaka? How many times and which circumstances would that apply? So it would seem one way to learn the Gemara, like Mr. Safti is saying, Reish Lakish is taking that opinion that's saying that there's a chazaka already 2 times, meaning we call it a repeated offender, right? When someone's a repeated offender, we understand that there's something fishy over here. You have certain type of tendency if you do it again. You didn't learn from your first time, you do it again. So now, therefore, Reish Lakish says we cannot accept this 3rd pair of witnesses. That's one way to learn the Gemara. Others will learn that the Ritva learns that the court is concerned. Morning, Mark, good to see you. The court is concerned about this woman here. This woman has established herself to a couple of times. She already has brought false witnesses. So even if we're not going to say that 2 is a chazaka, even if we're not going to take that opinion that 2 creates a status of chazaka, but the fact that this was done twice, she already was repeatedly brought false witnesses, we suspect we have a concern here that we're not going to believe the 3rd pair of witnesses. Mark, we're talking about if a woman brings witnesses to court, the first time she brings witnesses, their testimony wasn't found to be in sync with each other. We threw out the witnesses. They brought a 2nd pair of witnesses on the case. She brought it, and they also were not. They contradicted each other. Now she brings a 3rd pair, and they did not contradict each other. So now will we accept them because they didn't contradict each other? Or do we say, look who brought them? And she already has a bad history. That's the issue with the Gemara. However, Amar Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer disagrees with Reish Lakish. He says, Im hi huchzaka. The fact that this woman has shown us that she is not such an honest person, it would seem that she brings people that are not honest, but that does not mean that all of Israel is not honest. It doesn't mean that all the people coming, the Gemara, Kol Yisrael mihilzaku. Does all of Israel agree to be false witnesses? A person themselves could say, I want to be a false witness. That they could say, they're not allowed to. But a person has the ability to make, good morning, Mr. Feldman. A person has the ability to say, I'm going to act not properly. But that ability to act not properly is not, you have no power to force other people to act not properly. Every person is has their own choice to do the right thing. So if the fact that she's able to go ahead, she wants to bring bad people, but doesn't mean that everybody who's signing up is discredited. Maybe she didn't have witnesses. What happened here? We have, just to bring the Feldman brothers into the Gemara. A woman went ahead and she brought witnesses regarding a case, and the court checked the witnesses out, and they said that their testimony is not in sync. We threw out the 2 witnesses. Then the same woman brings a 2nd pair of witnesses regarding this case. And again, the court checks the witnesses and say also the witnesses are not on the same page. We throw out the witnesses. Then she brings a 3rd pair of witnesses. And you know what happens? They seem to be on the same page. Do we accept the 3rd pair of witnesses or not? Do we say because she already brought 2 pairs of witnesses that were not honest, that were not good witnesses, would we throw out the 3rd pair or not? That's going to be the two opinions in the Gemara. The second opinion we just said is the fact that she has this, she brings witnesses that are not so exact, but maybe that doesn't mean that the people, I mean, it could be that some people knew, she thought these people knew about this testimony, or they thought they knew about it, they thought they knew, they knew what they said that they saw it properly. And then they didn't see it good. They didn't have a good, but now she found third pair witnesses that really saw it. You know, sometimes, you know, we have people that I thought I saw it. I thought you know, I was from afar. So maybe.
It could have been a way. It could have been a way while a lot of people disqualified witnesses were there. They were there. Doesn't mean the third set of witnesses wasn't there. Doesn't mean they're not honest.
Right. The fact that the first and the second pair are not honest is not going to make it that everyone else that comes is not honest. Right. So that's the. So now that's the issue in the Gemara. So now the Gemara is an interesting story. Zimnan Haviyasi Kamei Rabbi Yochanan. A different time, Reish Lakish and Rabbi Elazar, these two rabbis who had these two opinions on the subject, they were sitting in front of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan was like the chief rabbi in Israel. He was the big rabbi. And I see how Maisik L'Kamayu. And a similar story came in front of them. A similar story. Someone brought, it doesn't have to be a lady, it could be a man, brought two witnesses and their testimony weren't in sync. Then the same person brought another pair of witnesses, and also the court knocked out them. They didn't concur with each other witnesses. And they brought a third pair of witnesses. And what happened? Rish Lakish. So Rish Lakish said exactly what he said before. This woman who has established herself 2 times, she already brought witnesses that were not exact. We're not going to accept her bringing a third pair of witnesses that are not exact. I'm sorry, even though the court did not find them to be not exact, but the fact that she's the one who brought them, and she has a history that she already brought 2 pairs of witnesses that were not exact, we're not going to accept the third pair. Mr. Feldman, is it clear what's going right? Is it clear? So that's what happened. Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan said exactly what Rabbi Elazar said before. In Milzakazu, the fact that she tries to find witnesses that are not honest, that makes all Jewish people that come to court not honest. Maybe, therefore, if those witnesses come and the court checked them and they seem to be on the same page, we'll accept them. So Rabbi Shlokish looked at morning. Good to see you, Jack. Morning. So Rish Lakish turned his face to Rabbi Elazar and he looked very upset at him. Amalei, why is the rabbi upset at the other rabbi? Shamat mili bebanavcha v'lo amritli mishmei. You heard the rabbi say it, and you did not tell me in his name. Meaning, if you heard the rabbi say this ruling, I would not have said my opinion in front of the rabbi, which is against the rabbi. Because here I'm in Rabbi Elazar. We're sitting at Rabbi Yochanan by Rabbi Yochanan. It's like we're in his yeshiva. We're in his court. In his court, I'm not going to go ahead and argue in his face. Maybe outside of his court, I will tell you my opinion. But I would not feel, I don't feel it's respectful for me. And therefore, you should have told me if you heard it from the rabbi, and the fact that you didn't tell me you heard it from the rabbi, therefore I didn't know the rabbi felt that way. Therefore, I said my own opinion. But if you would have told me that the rabbi said it, I would have had respect not to argue in his presence. That's now the question is why. So why didn't he say it in the rabbi's name? Either it was not his. Maybe he did not hear from the rabbi. Maybe he came up with the same conclusion as the rabbi. Rish Lakish thought that since you're saying the same thing as the rabbi, most probably you heard it from the big rabbi. But it could be no. The fact that I came with the same conclusion as the rabbi, I might not have heard it from the rabbi. We'll continue tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. But we learn even on the Gemara, we can see the derech eretz, the Musa, how people have to act a certain way. And here we are during the Sirat Omer of giving honor to each other. Have a great day, everybody.
Rabbi. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Great day. Yosef, have a great day.